Most people have been led to believe that flushing away thousands of liters of clean drinking water every year is somehow normal, and that it's somehow better than compost systems. But in reality, composting your own waste isn't just doable, it doesn't even have to be gross. In this video we're going to be changing our Humanure system because the current one isn't really working, and we want to show you why and what we're doing differently. Kom ons praat 'n bietjie kak. So Jesse and I have been living on this property for about 3 years now, and from the get-go we decided we weren't going to be doing a traditional septic tank system. So we did some research into Humanure. By the way, for those of you that don't know, Humanure is just a combination of human and manure. Humanure, pretty cute, right? The main thing of Humanure is that it needs to not dry out, that's very important, and that the biodegrading of the actual material can happen. Then it eventually turns into compost. So now you can assist this process with quite a few different methods. The one method is literally just by using hand tools, shovels, or a rake, for example. Or the system I decided to use was putting it into this barrel. And now how it works is you build the frame, you put the barrel on there, you basically cut a door into the barrel, put aggravators on the inside, which will basically work as your rakes and shovels, and then you spin the barrel with the Humanure inside. And then once the barrel is full, we just let it compost over time for about 6 months, and then it turned into the most amazing fertilizer. Like, you wouldn't imagine that you'd made it yourself. So let's talk a little bit about this barrel system and why I think we can do better. So there are two main issues with this barrel system that I think we can improve on. The first is the capacity of the barrel is quite limiting. So I'm thinking of going to something that's a little bit more simplistic and has a little bit more space. Then the second issue is that once this barrel is fully loaded, it becomes quite heavy, and then it becomes quite difficult to just rotate the barrel. Now, with that being said, I think a lot of the shortcomings probably came from my design of building the frame and the barrel I used. That's why I'm specifying that it's not a bad system, I just think there's a system that's better for us. And then I think my biggest downfall for this one was that instead of a metal pipe or something, I used an old tool handle, quite a long one. This worked relatively well for about 2 years, and now you can see the weight has kind of taken over. Okay, so that's enough about the old system. Let's get rid of this one and then show you what we're going to replace it with. So the resources you'll need for this system is a lot more simple. You're basically going to need a bunch of long sticks or even metal droppers and some wire or mesh. And that's basically all you're going to need to build the whole structure of the system. Oh, and then also you'll need a hammer. A little 4-pound hammer will work perfectly for what we needed. I could totally have just left the leaves there. You'll see later why I'm saying that. This is a very simple process. You just hammer in all these sticks to the relative size that you want it, and then you add the wire to that. I also realized that I didn't have enough wire, so I had to use some corrugated iron I had lying around. You want to make sure this is relatively secure. You don't want your dog getting in there. Also make sure to choose a nice and shady spot. You don't want your Humanure to dry out. Now, for those of you that are thinking, Tian, this looks like crap, my answer to that is yes, it does, because it's made for crap. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now it's time to put in some bulking material. So what bulking material is just some type of an organic material that assists the Humanure with basically becoming compost. And you can use a whole bunch of different things. You can use hay, you can use sawdust, you can use cocoa peat, which is actually what we use in our compost toilet. We're going to be using something a little bit different, and if you've been paying attention in the video, you'll see there's a lot of leaves scattered all around here, and so I thought I really like using the materials that we have on hand at the farm, so I'm just going to use that. Okay, so now once you have a sufficient amount of bulking material in your composter, now you can comfortably start adding your solids from your composting toilet. With me here I have a bucket full of our poo with some bulking material in it as well, and then also all of our toilet paper. So from here it's relatively simple. We're just going to open up a little spot in the composting system, pour the poo in there, cover it up, and then we're actually going to wash the bucket and then pour the water from that bucket into this composting system. And that's pretty much it. That's how simple it is to implement a system for your own Humanure. And if you do it in a way where you're following basic hygiene protocols, it'll be pretty safe. And that's coming from me. I'm not the cleanest guy in the world, and I haven't died of dysentery yet, so neither will you. Let's talk a little bit about the cons of a Humanure system. Humanure systems are definitely not for everyone. Basically, at the end of the day, you can't just flush all your problems away and not worry about it. You actually have to do something with it. So it requires a bit more time of you. Our lives nowadays are all based around convenience. This is definitely not a convenient system. There's nothing worse than sitting down on a Sunday night, ready to go to the bathroom, and as you open the toilet seat, you realize that your compost bucket is full. And to add to that, it's also raining outside. So now you know you can't do your number twos without going into the pouring rain, emptying that bucket, cleaning it, and then only do you get to do your business. And at the same time, I don't want to paint this as the perfect system. We have had lots of issues in the past with flies and also sometimes the smell in the compost toilet, not so much the composter itself, but those are all things I'm looking at rectifying. But in the end, I think Humanure is a great alternative to septic tanks. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you really enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. I really want to reach as many people as I can with the content we're trying to create here at Boyson's Gone Wild. We want to focus on everything nature and unique lifestyle living. So if that's hiking or living in a tiny house or building with alternative materials or even homesteading, we are going to cover that for you, and I can promise we'll be doing it outside. That's it for now. My name's Tian, this is Boyson's Gone Wild, and we'll see you next time. I can't show 9. Is there anybody else out there that can't show, well, at least can't show 4? Like, I have to show 4 like this. I can't show it like this. My hand does this weird little raptor claw thing.